I'd like to call this workshop to order at 4 p.m. as scheduled. I'd like to call workshop presentation A, presentation by Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 to include matters related to the proposed issuance of bonds for drainage improvement as reflected in Proposition A. And Mr. Martin Garza, I will ask you to give us a preface and then call whoever you need to call so we can get this thing.
Absolutely, Mayor. Mayor, Council, good afternoon. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to our workshop. It is an extremely important workshop to the City of Mission because I know there's been issues and talk about the rains that we have been receiving in the last couple of months. I know that our city staff have been working very closely with Hidalgo County District Number 1, with Raul Cecin and his staff. We know, just for informational purposes, there is an advisory board that was put together by the Drainage District, which yourself and Ms. Jessica Ochoa are also a part of, and there have been a couple of meetings already in place. They've been very informational meetings, and so Raul Cecin and his staff is here to address any concerns or any questions that we might have regarding the Proposition A, which is basically a bond election for the month of November. I know that he does have some visitors with him as well. We have Commissioner Flores, who's here with us too. I want to thank Commissioner for being here. Commissioner Fuentes also for being here with us today, and they've been absolutely a lot of help in making sure that they're putting out the word, making sure that all the residents in the County of Hidalgo are aware of this bond issuance. And without further ado, I'd like to have Raul Cecin take over and explain to us what exactly is it that they're doing.
Mr. Cecin, you're recognized.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. If I can have maybe the commissioners just make a statement or just on the presentation of
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councilwomen and Councilmen. The reason we're here, we're trying to pass a bond, which is coming up pretty soon, and we're talking about improving the lateral here in South Mission, and we got a lot of rain in North Mission, North Alton, North Palmview, which is really impacted our rainy season. I mean, Mr. Gallardo's have been up there. We got about, maybe today as we speak, we got about maybe 13, 14 vacuum trucks pulling out water in the low spots over there. And people are really in bad shape. I mean, I understand that's what we need here. And look at city of what's his name, Houston. I mean, they've spent billions of dollars in infrastructure and it still floods. So we need to get things done here in the city of Mission and northern part of Hidalgo County. And that's all I can really understand that. And I'll let Raul Cecin take over, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything you'd like to add?
Commissioner Fuentes, welcome to Mission.
Thank you, sir. Much like the West, the East incurred a lot of flooding over these last couple of months. We were mostly impacted in the June event, unlike you guys who have been suffering a lot with repeated rains. Obviously, on the way over here, it started raining again. This is probably one of the wettest months in history for our area. And because of that and all the flooding that we've incurred, this is an extremely important project, or at least all the bond projects that we have proposed. And along with Commissioner Flores, we are in severe need of these improvements. So we're just here to share information and tell you that we're here to represent you and all of our taxpayers the correct way, and we want to try to improve the quality of life for our constituents. So that's why we're here in support of Mr. Cecin and the plan that he's come up with to improve our areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, council members, we have developed a district-wide plan which consists of 37 projects district-wide as a result of the June event that we received. Just for the benefit of the public and yourself, that event was categorized as a 500-year event. And just a fancy language of saying it's a probability.
Mucha agua.
Bastante agua. By about 15 inches we received both in the western portion of the county and eastern portion of the county. That type of event only happens, the probability of that happening is a 0.25% that event can happen. I mean, it can happen multiple times in a year, but the probability of that occurring is very minimal, of course, being 0.25%. But it has been categorized as such. So with all that rain, we had a lot of issues. We had a lot of heavy rain in the McAllen Mission area. As Commissioner Fuentes pointed out, also in the eastern area, we had a lot of rain in the June event. The subsequent events that we received here in September, that is one of the wettest months that we've had in history, the central portion of our county and the western portion of our county has been hit. Wesco was hit a little bit, but most of the area, thank goodness, has been spared in the eastern portion, but it's still in need of improvement. So what we did after the event in June, we developed these plans. We developed 37 projects that we know can bring immediate relief to a lot of the areas that were affected by the June event and have been affected in the previous events that we've seen in our area. So what we're presenting before you today, and there is a handout that was handed out, we have a lot of information, and the district is planning on doing informational tours with the cities and the school districts just to inform the public of the importance of this bond issuance. And before you, we have one for Precinct 3 that was developed we have one for countywide that lists all the 37 projects, and then we have one just for Precinct 3. We have various projects in Precinct 3 that we know will help impact what will happen and positively what happened in June. So one of the major projects that is identified for the Mission area, as Commissioner Flores mentioned, is the Mission Lateral. As you well know, that's one of the major veins that we have running east and west, and that system actually commences at Abram Road, and it traverses Palmview easterly all the way across Benson Road, and then there it splits into the Mission McAllen drain. So there are two projects that will directly impact the city of Mission, which is that Mission lateral improvements. It's approximately about 7 miles of ditch widening. We anticipate about doubling the capacity in the Mission lateral itself with the improvements that will be done. At the same time, we are also approximately dedicating or looking at the acquisition of about 72 acres of detention facilities, land to create detention facilities, so we can manage the water that's coming. Just quick historical, everything flows from the west, as you know. We have a lot of high area on the west side of the county and goes easterly. So a lot of that water that comes into Mission does come from Palmview, and as I mentioned, all the way from Abram Road. So we do have some proposed facilities, detention facilities being planned upstream. At the same time, within the central portion of the Mission Inlet around the Inspiration Road area, we have facilities being programmed there as well, and some improvements to some crossings, so we can manage that water better through our system. As I mentioned, that system is 7 miles in length, and we estimate approximately $12.7 million as the budget that's been given to the Mission Lateral for that whole segment. So that does include a small portion of McAllen, as I mentioned, east of Benson, but then the rest of it all the way through Mission, and then also impacts Palmview. So it's a tri-city improvement that we're being proposed here by that bond issuance. There's another project also, as part of the Precinct 2 project, that the Mission McAllen, as I mentioned, part of the water runs north and part of it runs south, and we have a project in the southern section that we're going to be improving along Cold Bath and Taylor Road, which is going to be taking water into what we call our Mission Inlet. So with that improvement and the improvements, the lateral improvements, we feel it's going to lower the water surface elevation in that area, which will protect a lot of the homes that were affected during this past event and in the subsequent event, especially in the Vine area. It's my understanding that there's been a lot of, there have been some issues in the past, so with the improvements that we're proposing, that area will also be mitigated, and the water surface elevation will greatly reduce here and through the whole Mission Lateral. As I mentioned, we have other projects Commissioner touched upon on the northwest side, up here in the Monte Cristo and Monte Cristo and Cantu or Conway area. We have an improvement that we're doing. It's being proposed. There's a lot of issues there on the northwest portion of our county that we're going to be addressing, and that is in a specific bond item that's identified there. We do have also some improvements on the west side that we will be doing in our lateral. As I mentioned, all the water comes easterly, so with some improvements that we'll be doing with our proposed drain the PD lateral that we're proposing here will capture a lot of that water going easterly. Not only that, but we have also about 240 acres of detention facilities in this area that we are already acquiring or have acquired to hold some of that water, so we manage it downstream. So it's not just the actual improvements that we're doing along the channel itself, but upstream managing that water from getting into this system, holding it back and then releasing it at a slower rate once the peak has happened already with the storm. So we're looking at different ways to manage water in the west. So we improve our system and maximize the impact to the residents. So the rest of the projects are identified there, precinct-wide. We have some projects up on the north side. We have some extension of some ditches. There is one in City of Mission there in the Linda Vista area that we're looking at improving lateral there as well. That's an area that we've had issues in the past. So we are proposing a lateral there to extend that system to our Linda Vista drain, which will have to help those residents in that area. For the benefit of the commission as well, we are working to improve the pump system that we have at Linda Vista right now. We're looking at different options to try to upgrade that system in place, possibility of acquiring an acre or two for retention facility, and then improve the existing pump structure that we have there, so we can be able to get water out there quicker out of that area. So those are some of the things that we're already working on. It may not be identified as a bond, but we're very active in Precinct 3 as well, and trying to develop projects that we currently have issues with to try to see how we can manage those through just our maintenance and operation improvements. So those are that's the main overview of all the projects that are in the area of Precinct 3, City of Mission as respects to Precinct 3. So I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions or anything you may have regarding the proposals that we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Cecine. The format that I'm going to use is I'm going to ask our city council first to give their take, and then I'll open it to the public, people that have taken the time to come over here and individually. I know this is not a public hearing, but I would like to have it interactive with the people that are interested that have come in here. So, Ms. Garza, we'll start with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, and also, I guess my only questions are, you did mention actually a couple hundred acres that have been identified for detention?
On the west side already, we already have actually acquired 220 approximately already on the west side.
And where would those,
We have 50 acres northwest corner of Abram already acquired in 3 Mile. We have another 80 acres on 3 Mile just near Liberty Road, which is just east of, I can't think of.
North of Penitas,
Yeah, north of Penitas in that enitas
3 Mile Line.
We have another 60 acres being programmed at the southern portion of the Penitas drain that's already under construction. And then we have another 30 being programmed around the 5 Mile line or 6 Mile line and east of I believe it's western in that area. So all that water that makes its way easterly, we're trying to catch as much as we can.
Okay.
We're trying to manage upstream also water. It's important that we manage not only the downstream water that's already there, but also the upstream water and help hold that back as much as we can.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're very active in that, and there's, as I mentioned, in this bond program, there's 72 acres currently identified on the Mission Inlet, the Mission Lateral alignment that we're looking at acquiring to
And those are
accommodate more volume.
right along the
Yes,
lateral?
ma'am. Those are actually along the lateral,
Okay.
so they have the most impact to that area.
So basically, you're expanding the lateral?
Yes, ma'am. And the ditch itself, we do have 200 foot of right-of-way in that system, so we are going to have to acquire property for the detention facilities, but if the bond was successful, we could move forward with the actual plans and excavation rather quickly because there's no right-of-way acquisition required for the actual ditch improvement, which we feel we're going to double capacity in that whole section, that whole 7 miles. So the only thing that would take time would be the acquisition process of the detention facilities, but if the bond is successful, what we would propose is a phased-in approach where we would improve the actual lateral first as we acquire the rest of the facility and then put that out for a second phase construction.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other,
And
Ms.
it's just
Garza?
real, I mean.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Probably.
That's what we're here.
Okay, just
course.
how can we help? to get this bond?
Well, just educating the public, that's what we're doing. The district is, as I mentioned earlier, we have our calendar pretty much populated all month to go to the different cities and the school districts. We want to educate the public on the impact that this bond issuance will have. It's been developed based on, as I mentioned, the experiences we have in June and prior experiences we have from rain events. We've done a lot of engineering in a lot of areas already to develop models, which is a lot more further along than you normally do when you propose a bond. For example, in Houston, they passed $2.5 billion, but they don't even have any plans in some areas.
Yes.
So, we've actually, in some areas, have gone and done hydraulic studies and looked at pre and post improvements and seen the impact. So this mission, Lateral, it's one of the projects that we've really drilled into because, as Mr. Garza mentioned, we had already been in discussions with the city of Mission about improving the lateral and doing some work here, and then it became a project as a proposed project for the bond. So we're just going to continue forward. We're hopefully successful, and if for whatever reason it's not, we're going to continue with our plan to improve that lateral. So this just helps expedite that improvement.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Plata?
Hello, Mr. Cecin.
Good afternoon, sir.
No, actually, I was reading the proposal, it's $190 million.
That is correct, sir.
And there will be a 3% increase.
That is
3
correct.
cents per 100.
Just
I
for the
think it's-
benefit, it's $30 a year if the valuation of your home is $100,000. My understanding is valuation of the homes average is 85 around there, I think is the number that I had heard. So you would have about a $24, $25 increase once everything is sold. We'll phase everything in. We anticipate probably maybe a cent the first year, if that, because of the acquisition that needs to take place and everything else. But we figure by the third year, we'll be full-blown into 3 cents, and that's the plan that we have. We're approaching it very assertively, since we've already done a lot of pre-engineering in a lot of areas. We want to get this out to construction. We plan on turnkeying everything, meaning we want to outsource the design, and we want to outsource the construction. The district could perform it, but it would just take a long time. We don't want to bog anything down. We want to get this improvements out because we feel that once they're in place, they're going to have immediate impact to those areas that were affected. So we are planning on putting everything. There is a development cost associated with the bond already. As far as the design services, we're capping it at 10%. So just for informational purposes, and that includes the surveying and design and oversight of the project itself. My office may do some oversight as well, project management and so forth, but we want to be very assertive with our plan if we are successful with our bond issuance.
I think an example of how much it's really going to increase for somebody in a home of about 100,000, I think that will help a lot on you.
Of course.
Presentations, because...
Any more, Mr. Plata?
No, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ochoa?
Yes, hi, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner, thank you for coming, and both Mr. Fuentes and Commissioner Flores. I think it's very important having a communication background and PR background that we inform our constituents of Mission and throughout the county. Exactly, I love, everything looks so pretty and a lot of information, but I think that we need some type of flyer that's better geared to where it's to the point, what it's going to be, and exactly what you said, how this bond is going to impact our citizens and how much, like Mr. Plata is going to say, is that going to be for each family member, because the election's already upcoming.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a small amount of time to work with that, and I would hope that our PR department here in Mission helps with that to make sure that our citizens of Mission get the information correctly.
We could definitely send through our media people, send something
great.
directly to the City Mission, that way they can get the word out. This is just a general information, but if we can get more into the details with the cities, we definitely can provide that, ma'am.
Yes,
Great
thank you.
recommendation. Yes, ma'am.
I want to add a little thing. I know that the Edinburgh Canal may not be under your jurisdiction.
That is correct.
That's correct, until it overflows.
Well, yes.
And the reason why, and one of the things that did happen to us in our city was that Edinburgh Canal overflowed in the June deal.
You're correct, Mayor. Yes.
I met with Edinburgh's mayor on the issue, and I've asked, and maybe you can assist in this, and maybe the commissioners can assist in this, is if we could come up with a lowering of the Edinburgh Canal in incidents like this, but still not to choke Edinburgh their raw water needs.
Understand?
You know, if they could find, the engineers could find a medium, so when we get something in the magnitude of 6 inches or more, that the irrigation district, under emergency situations, brings down the water without us having to do it, because I know when it was overflowing, I almost asked Martin to call them and tell them shut the gates completely, but then it dawned on me, you know, I have a whole city over there that's going to be affected
Yes, sir.
if they don't get the water over there. But what is reasonable in the amount of an emergency situation to bring down to give it the capacity where the rainwater will fall on there and not overflow and fall into our neighborhoods that it did and created water in our drainage system.
Yes, sir.
And now we're adding more than just the rain from the normal rain into our drainage system.
We can definitely look into that, and we'll reach out to Irrigation District Number 1, which is the owner of that system.
Thank you, Mr.
Work with them.
Ceci.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'll open it for anybody that's in the public, including our staff, you know, if there's anything that you all want to share. I know we're open if you need for us to publicly endorse this, you know. I think that I speak for the council without having a formal deal, then we're all in support of this drainage bond issue, as far as that is concerned, you know. But if we need something to do formally as a city, you know, on the council, I will be more than glad to add an agenda, resolution, or whatever you all feel. Whatever the county feels on how they want to use our commitment to the bond, you know, without interfering with y'all's proactive approach to this, you know. I mean, we want to be proactive approach to solving the drainage problem here in Mission. So, anybody? Up to them, and please identify yourself and your name and address, just like a regular public hearing.
Sir,
For
Isauro
the sake
Trevino,
of the record.
Isauro Trevino, 125 Guadalupe Street, Mission, Texas. Raul, quick question. Is the 3 cents all or nothing? Like if we get the 3 cents, we get not, or it's all 3 cents, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. I read something on the paper.
No, it's all, we're going for 3 cents complete.
So it's all or nothing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I see Mr. Guerrero over there in the back. Mr. Tony, you want to come over? I know that we've been in front of your house, you know, during emergency situations, and please, this is the time to share your thoughts.
Mayor, thank you so much. City Commissioners, Martin. First of all, Mayor, my condolences
Thank you.
to your loss of your brother. Is most of this water that you're trying to get rid of above ground or underground? Are you going to go through culverts, or are you going to go on top of water to move the water?
It's all underground pipes and ditches.
Okay. Since working on my situation over there on Canal, what I call Canal A, Canal B, we were finally able to get a big excavator out there, but the canals are still lopsided. We finally convinced each other that water in that area is not going to flow uphill.
We do have an engineering firm that's going to look into it and give us some.
Well, the public director has done an admirable job last week in keeping me informed of what's happening, but we found another pipe that's carrying fresh water to that neighborhood, so we had to stop the project that we were working on.
Yeah.
But as of today, the pipe leading from Canal A to Canal B is still 18 inches, a 15-inch pipe under a 24-inch pipe, and the water's still not reaching that, so we're going to have to do a lot of sloping and grading the canal from A to Canal B.
Good.
But now I'm concerned that we grade too low in Canal A, the impact on the pressure of the water going into Canal B into Sherryland. You know, what's going to happen to those kids, those houses?
Well, you know, again, we're going to share that information with our engineer that we hired to conduct the hydraulic study for that area.
Okay.
You know, and we'll listen to the experts, you know, and then at the final decision will be made here, you know, but for right now, we need to get the data, you know, from the engineer, and we're just starting the study. So, and we're going to jointly work together with the Precinct 3 study. Precinct 3 also has a study, because this drainage problem is holistic in nature. It's a regional situation.
I just like, as we go on in the future, because all the crud that was pushed out with that vacuum truck, all the crud, all the tennis shoes, all the basketballs, tennis balls, that was pushed out. And then I stayed there till 8 o'clock that night and let the little go-kart with the camera do its job, and it was a clear pipe.
Well, obviously, maintenance is a good technique to use to prevent drainage problems.
Well,
So we'll work on that. Mr. Guerrero.
And I moved in yesterday after 3 months.
Yeah.
So we're back home. All right?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming back. Sure. And not giving up on us. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. Anybody else anybody interested in, no?
Mayor, I have a few
Okay.
things real quick for Mr. Raul Cecine, and Raul, these are things that have been discussed during the advisory board meetings, and I think it's important that we relate to the public how we plan to address these things. One is TxDOT. What is the participation of TxDOT? Because I know that a lot of the flooded areas are in right-of-way that belongs to TxDOT, like the frontage roads, Sherry being one for Mr. Guerrero. The ditch that he connects to actually has to go to a system in TxDOT, and I know that has been a concern as well.
Conway, 495.
Right, and so I know you addressed that in the advisory board's meeting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we have definitely been working with TxDOT. TxDOT in the past, I guess, they were concerned in moving traffic and just saying, here's the water. But that has really changed a lot here recently. They're now looking at outfalls, looking at improving outfalls, and in the last 3 years that I've been at the district, we've been bringing that up to them, saying, okay, you're going to bring the water to us, great, but we need to account for that water, and not just for the right-of-way water, but the watershed water. Whatever water's coming to the watershed, to the road, into our ditch, that needs to be accounted for. And Texas has been very receptive. We have 2 projects right now being proposed that we have a written commitment from TxDOT that they're going to be environmentally clearing the downstream portions of the projects so they can participate with improvements that are needed to account for that water. Same thing, Precinct 1, Commissioner Fuentes is working with TxDOT on several projects that we have over there in the same approach. Mitigate those improvements downstream to make sure that the ditches and the pipes and everything are adequate to handle all the extra water. So, we're definitely working closely with TxDOT on new improvements and any existing improvements that are in place that need to be looked at. They're very receptive in partnering with the drainage district and making sure that water is managed correctly downstream. So we do have that also going forward here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Again, people that are here that took the time to come and show up, if you want, I'll give you the opportunity to come up to the mic and give us your take, so we can be able to when, keep in mind these projects are conceptualized right now.
Yes, sir.
And they're not, they haven't been fully designed, so your direct input is a tremendous impact in the end result that we want, and that's to solve the drainage problem, not only for the city of Mission, but for the whole region here, the whole Rio Grande Valley, because it affects us, Westlaco goes down. I had to pull our rescue equipment from Westlaco, and I apologize to the city of Westlaco for doing that, but, it is what it is. My city was experiencing the same thing, so I have to do what I need to do to protect our citizens first, and so that's why we can solve it all together, united for a fast drainage out of here, get the water out of here as fast and drain it as fast as we can, and come back to normal as soon as possible for us. We cannot stop an 18-inch rain or a 20-inch rain, or the rain the way that almost stopped me from coming here at 4 o'clock to I was at the Catholic War Veterans with my family, and all of a sudden we had rain and severe rain and lightning, and right now we're experiencing that in South Mission right now, that are quick, fast water that goes down, because Mission is designed Ninth and Conway is up on top, and First and Conway is at the bottom. But that's been Mission all my life, my 64 years that I've been here. You know, so that's where, but so anybody from the audience or from the media too, you know, anybody from the media has any question? You know, we invited the media for a purpose, and that's to provide feedback also. Okay.
Mayor, if I'm,
We have a,
My wife is down, hey, Raul, if this will get approved by the voters, would the 38 project realistically, 3 to 5 years, everything will be completed, or what's really your timeline? I know there's going to be acquisition, that takes time.
yes, we anticipate 3 years going into it to have everything. Like I said, we're going to outsource the majority of the work. The district wants to get this out as soon as possible. If the district steps in any way or form, it'd probably be towards the tail end to try to finish. If we have monies available and there's more projects that we need to get done, they're identified beyond what we already identified here, and we can do partnerships where the district does a little bit of work and the private sector does some of the work. We're going to do as much as we can, but the first initial is going to be pushed out to go turnkey everything.
Thank you, sir.
and he did mention at the advisory committee that he was going to, the areas where he already has a right-of-way, because acquiring the right-of-way is usually the one that slows down every project, any project that we do. Those that they already have, that the county already has the right-of-way, that they're gonna speed it up and
That's correct, Mayor.
work those areas first. And because everything's a priority, to tell you the truth, you know, all the projects here that I noticed are really in the areas where everything's severe for the, holistically for the county, not only for precinct 3, not even for the city of Mission, and I'm not talking for the precinct 3. I know we have the precinct 3 commissioner here, but I'm sure he'll attest to the fact that it's not a sole area problem-solving the attitude that we need to take. It's holistically valley-wide. And Mr. Garza, I know that we outlined some questions. Do you want to
Sure.
share some of those
Absolutely, Raul.
on behalf of our city?
So we have 12 projects that have been designed or designated for Precinct 3. What is the total of those 12 projects? I know the whole bond issuance is 190 million, ¿verdad? Pero on the 12 projects that are designated to Precinct 3, do you have the total on that, an estimate?
Yes, we do. If you give me a second.
Yeah, I know at the advisory board, I mentioned that I had calculated approximately 15% of the bond, the total bond would affect us, would impact the city of Mission, about 15% of the bond, so.
Yeah, we have, in precinct 3, we have 30, I believe it's 35 million approximately.
35 million. Now, I'm noticing that on number 38, it's really not a project, it's the capital improvements. right?
Yeah, and that's
Acquisition of
district-wide.
machinery and-
Yes, that's district-wide.
So that's just, that 4 million is to accommodate,
District-wide, so the heavy cranes and things of that nature for the larger projects that we're going to have to excavate, you know, woods and things of that nature, heavy equipment.
right, but that's going to be used in other county, or
Yes.
it's just that for Precinct 3?
In district-wide.
District-wide, okay.
As I mentioned, we anticipate the majority of the work going out completely, if not all of it. If we can fund everything that we have, that's what we're going to do. But if we have extra funds available, because we save monies on some of the projects that are identified, and we have other projects available to us, we're going to invest that money in there. And that's the only way the district would step in, is to help shore up that difference, to make sure that we get all the projects that we identified, because we have more projects than the 37 identified here, obviously.
Okay.
But we would move in with our forces if we need to finish those projects that are beyond the 37. Yes, sir, please, Commissioner.
You mentioned the two main regional projects. I know that the mayor, really that really shouldn't count for that 180 million.
Yes, sir. That's correct. As Commissioner is saying, we have 25 million allocated for 15 million for the Rainbow Drain, which is a regional project, and we have 10 million for our Delta Region Water Management Project, which is also flood control and actually a water producing project once it's completed. That's a project that we have already an approval from the state of Texas to extract water from our main, treat it for potable water in the future. There's been projections 50 years from now that, you know, we're going to be shortage of water in the valley, so the district has gone out and gotten that permit, and we're in the initial stage of developing that. We're just about to break ground on the first 225-acre detention facility. We should start that this coming week, start that process already. So there is additional $10 million being allocated by this bond to keep that project moving forward. And there's also other grants that we're pursuing to the state for that project from the Rainbow Drain. So it's not just that $10 million. There's other bigger grants that we're trying to seek for those projects as well. But that is allocated. 25 of the 190 is for those two projects.
Any other question?
And just for the record, or for the benefit of everyone, we do have the Sheriff's Night Out at J.D. Salinas Middle School on 601 North Benson tomorrow from 6 to 9. We'll be handing out information in the area about our proposed project and everything, what we're doing out there as an outreach. And if it's the will of the commission to, or the city council to issue out a letter of support for the projects, I think that would be great if we could get something like that, just to promote that we are coordinating with other cities. You know, we're requesting that of the cities and support, a letter of support for what we're proposing. So,
Raul, and we do have ourselves a national night out on Thursday, October the 4th at 6:30 here at the Leo Peña Placita Park.
but
We'll be more happy to put a booth out there for you all.
We'll be there.
Great.
We'll commit ourselves to be there Thursday night as well if we need to get information out, give flyers, and set up our map and answer questions. Any type of educational outreach that we can do to educate the public, that's what we would like to do. And as I mentioned, Mayor, any letter of support the council can issue would be greatly received, and it would help promote education that we're trying to get across to the public. So,
Will there be a mail out, fellow?
we're working on that
Okay.
information, yes.
So that'll be just like maybe a week or so before the
Yes,
election?
we're working
day?
on that as well.
Okay. Are you doing any other form of advertising, like signage or?
We're educating right now, but we're working on different
Okay.
things. Yes.
Okay.
And it's titled Proposition A, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
On the
That's
ballot.
how the voters it is here. It's just a simple, it's going to be yes or no, approve it for 190 for drainage improvements.
Because I've already gotten the calls, if I'm in favor of Proposition 1, you know, and I said, I don't think it's Proposition 1, I think it's Proposition A.
That is correct. Okay. Anything else that we can add? Commissioners, anything?
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming to Mission and giving us this informative information
Thank
as
you.
far as,
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say that it's obvious that y'all have been working on this for quite some time. It didn't just start in June. So thank you very much, and I look forward to getting this passed, because that's, to me, detention is the key thing to alleviate flooding. And y'all are already getting that done. So I applaud that work, and I'm just looking forward to getting this stuff done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All your questions were?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions and no, on the drainage part, I'll call for the next agenda item, which is workshop agenda item number B, which is discussion regarding proposed EDAP project. Thank you, Commissioners.
Hi, thank you.
And thank you for coming in our city. We're honored. Okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. With regards to the next item on the agenda, the proposed EDAP project is, Virgil's passing out a handout that shows in red what the proposed EDAP project is going to be.
Thank you.
Or is being proposed to be. And there's a little section between Los Ebanos and Trosper Road, just south of 4 Mile Line, or abutting to 4 Mile Line. And then there's another larger section between Benson Palm Drive and La Homa Road, which is a half-mile section. And it will go down from 4.5 Mile Line all the way to 7 Mile Road. So this is what Meldon and Hunt has worked out, and what is being proposed as far as sewer for these particular residents in the areas identified in red.
Mr. Karth, is there anything you want to add from the engineer standpoint?
No, sir, just, I think everybody's aware of this, but we did get the notification from the Texas Water Development Board that they'd received
Obviously, our application, we ranked number 5, and it's going to be a grant and a loan.
Pretty much a green light.
Yes, sir.
Green light project.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the council? We'll start with you, Ms. Garza, on the take.
Just like to see, and it didn't really have anything to do with the EDAP project, but if we could, and this would be for Roberto probably, these projects, if we could kind of find them on this and see if any of these projects are going to affect these areas that we're acquiring, or, you know what I'm trying to say?
The annexation part?
Yeah.
It's the next agenda
I
item.
know, but I'm not talking about, just in these areas here that are going to be affected by the EDAP project.
Right.
If any of these projects are overlapped.
Right, and so...
Information purposes, basically.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm hoping to get into into that discussion and in any other things that affect those areas. We really need to have the annexation agenda ready to go, and I don't think we're going to be able to do this one this time around because we don't have the quorum, but we're going to put it back on Friday's agenda.
I was going to say, I suggest that you put it on Friday's agenda.
Right, and I think we're going to be able to answer some of those questions that affect the EDAP as well. Now, the purpose of us putting this on the agenda was really basically to give the council an update on the grant proposal. So it's 50% grant and 50% loan. You know, the idea here is whether or not we take the application and move forward with it. I believe December the 13th is the day that the Texas Water Development Board meets, and that's the day that would give us basically a formal announcement that we're going to be receiving these funds.
Did they notify the percentage rate for the loan, the interest rate?
No, sir, we haven't gotten that yet.
No, okay. But
But
normally...
it's a lower...
I was going to say, historically, it's not more than 3%. They're based on the loans that I've seen, that are from the research that I've done in the last 20 years for the Texas Water Development Board. Their mean has been 1.3%, pretty much. So and those are pretty good. Those are great rates. Mr. Plata, you have anything?
No, sir.
Ms. Ochoa? Mr. Garza, continue, please.
Mayor, really, that's all we have on this one. We just wanted to give you all an update. I think it's great news that we're going to be able to have these funds. The next step to take on this would be to take it back to the council to see if we're going to want to move forward with the loan and the receiving of the grant for these two proposed EDAP projects.
Can we put it on the agenda for the next city council meeting? Or is it too early?
I would think, Mayor, if it's okay with you, I would like to have the workshop on the annexation proposal. And then I think that gives us a better idea whether we want to move forward with this or not.
I'll just ask Mr. Kurt, for your purposes, before December the 13th, what do you need from the council? So can it wait for the second city council meeting in October?
Yes, sir.
And there'll be a good timing for you without putting you in a corner.
We'd still be okay.
Okay, and we can do that.
Right, because the application was submitted and obviously we got good news, so
Yes.
the next step would be, I'm assuming some sort of resolution after December the 13th?
Yeah, we would notify them that, first we'd notify them that we are, ready to go, and then we would be on their agenda for December 13th, where they would take their action to award, and then we'd go from there.
And after discussing the proposed annexation, Mayor, it gives you and the council a better idea whether we're going to want to move forward with that or not.
Yes, and more than likely, we're going to need to attend over there to support the project.
So that meeting would be in December that we would have like a final yea or nay type thing?
No.
On December
For
the
us, it'd be in the second city council meeting
Of what month?
of October.
Of October.
To let him know that it's green light, and by that time, he'll have a percentage on the loan, right?
Okay.
Correct.
Just to make sure, but it still needs to be approved by the Texas Water Development Board on December the 13th.
Okay,
And then after that, it comes back to us for acceptance,
after December.
after December the 13th.
Okay.
Comes up for us for acceptance. Am I correct, Mr. Garza?
That's correct, and that gives us plenty of
Mr.
time to
Yes.
have a workshop on the annexation, and that way we can,
And by that
Put all
time, we
together,
can
make a
answer the
decision.
questions that you're asking about the annexation, and then meanwhile, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
that's all we have for this
Yes.
agenda item, Mayor.
So I'm going to skip item C because we're going to relocate it for, and reestablish it for Friday of next week. So the other item is the adjournment part, and it's
Mayor,
not debatable.
And I'm sorry, just to correct that, we have it set for this Friday at 4.
It's something that, which is, for us, is this Friday at
Yes.
4.
Okay.
Everybody's okay with that? You're okay with this Friday at 4? Because you're critical to be there.
Yeah, we need Mr. Plata, Ms. Ochoa, and Mr. Martinez to attend in order
Yes.
to,
Ms. Ochoa?
I wouldn't mind having something at lunchtime.
Well, let's check with Mr. Martinez, and
Absolutely. I'll check with-
11:30 would be a good time.
Is it going to be,
Let me check.
how many items do you have?
One item?
well, it's actually 2 more, but I
Oh.
mean, this is the most important one, I would think, and so, well, no, we do have, one is a policy, right, and it doesn't.
Oh, yeah,
affect
that's
payroll.
policy.
What's today?
But we can do it at lunchtime also, the policy.
Can we do it Thursday? Or is that too short of the notice? You wouldn't have time today? Can you post it today at 5?
You got 10 minutes.
5:30?
You got 10 minutes, Ms. Anna.
5:30 on
I think you can do
Thursday?
it.
I know
think
we
you can
have-
pull
we
it
have
off,
an
Anna.
event on Thursday, don't we? Yes.
Thursday
yeah, they
afternoons,
Sorry.
Thursday and Friday afternoons are really booked according to my calendar here.
Yes, we do have an event.
We have,
Lunch, can you do lunch on Friday?
from 11:30, 11:30.
I can do lunch.
11:30
11:30.
Friday?
Just check with Mr.
I'll check
Martinez
with Mr.
because it's
Martinez
crucial that
and,
Mr. Martinez be
set it
here.
up.
But I'm
Yes.
important on that one.
What?
Just us two and
Yeah,
Gus.
just you two
Yeah,
and Gus.
I'm not important
No,
here,
you're
so,
not either.
so we're in the same boat, so.
Yes,
So,
I'll give it Mr.
but
Martinez.
it's critical that we have quorum.
yes.
You know, can't conduct business without quorum. But, you know, if we need to stay a little bit over lunchtime, then for me, it's okay.
I don't
know
have a
about-
problem
You know,
with that.
I get,
That'll be the first agenda item to discuss.
okay. Any other?
Friday at 11:30.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And whatever other agenda items, just
That's
put them in
correct.
order.
What time?
Start with this one as A, and, you know, and Mr. Plata,
Free one?
you take the lead on that one. Yes, because of the line of succession.
For us to make to adjourn.
I guess that's the only one left, right? Adjournment?
Gus is what?
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Gus is doing what?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.